So my name is Ioana and I was born in Romania in a city called Brașov. I grew up in a family where as a little girl I was faced with a lot of alcohol. When I grow up I start to realize more. So of course I could see my mother all the time and I could see my father was coming more and he was becoming more and more, an alcoholic by the day. Me and my mother, we've struggled. I've not been able to have a good relationship with her growing up as a child. I could never go to her as a friend, and we used to argue and clash a lot, all the time, all the time. Me and my father, I didn't clash with him so much, but I never felt like I can go to him. I couldn't find a friend in him either, because he was very cold, if I can say like that. I really was so anxious, like really so anxious. I remember I didn't know when to laugh or when to cry because I used to always be corrected by my mother if I laughed too much or too loud or if I cried too much, or I could not really find myself. So I used to always be anxious, not really knowing when to say, what to say. How would my dad be? How would my mom be? Can I speak to them? Can I say something? Because he was never really received on the other side. I feel like the only happy moments, like truly happy, that I had was not with my mom and dad, was with my grandmother. My grandmother has a very genuine sense of being. Her life was very simple. She used to take me with her to church and she never forced me. She was the one that knew how to, embrace me when things were getting difficult at the house. So she used to be the one taking me out. She used to be the one coming alongside me. So with her, I used to find a lot of comfort because she used to always encourage me, hey, whatever you do, don't forget to speak to God. I had a very good friend called Ines. We spent a lot of time together and we shared some very beautiful, just good times together. So I left Romania when I was 23, and the reason why I left is just because I didn't like the family, the country. By that time I hated everyone. I literally didn't like it. Like growing up with my family was a nightmare. Growing up with my mom was like the worst thing I could have had. Living at home was like very, very difficult. And I wanted to start a new life. And I chose to go to London because at that time it was, where can you go that you can have a job, a decent job, and make a living? Because initially I wanted to leave to Spain, where my brother was, but it wasn't so easy. And I have chosen to go to London. I came as an au pair, but I didn't, only until I got to the airport, the fear kicked in. Oh my God, what if these people don't have children and I'm going to end up in a terrible place? So I was initially, my first step into Heathrow Airport, I think it was, I was petrified. But then when I got to the family's house and I saw everything was for what it was, I managed to calm down, and then of course the fear disappeared. And coming into London, it really felt so free because it was a completely new city, doing completely new things. I didn't have my family with me. I didn't have the same arguments. So initially it felt a sense of like, oh my God, I can be myself in here. So it took me about 3 years to settle into the country, to understand the culture, to understand fully the language, to understand the system, to understand the actual work environment, relationship with colleagues, relationship with managers. I like the fact that it was very diverse, and I like the fact that you are able to go to big parks and visit different parts of London that have different flavors. And me and my friend, we used to go to Greenwich Park or the observatory or going to Brixton. So you go from one place to the other and you see the diversity and the culture and the students and how people come from various countries. And I really like that cultural diversity that comes with London. You can be whoever you want to be, in a sense. You can explore different jobs, you can explore different schools, you can explore different parts of the country, and you can find yourself in relationship with the world more. So the fact that I left Romania and I was very unhappy, coming into London thinking like I found freedom, and then realizing that I'm still unhappy and I'm still struggling, and things like my mom used to do was coming out through myself. Um, I was in a couple of relationships that they were very challenging for me as well. So I started to lose that sense of like, I'm free. I started to lose the sense of like, I'm not angry like I used to be. And these things started to come back. So in those times, because they were quite difficult, without understanding what I was doing, I started to inquire, what do I need to do in order for this life to take another turn? Because I don't want to have this life anymore. Myself, I've always wanted to have a child since I was very young. And for whatever reason, was either myself not being ready, or the guys that I was going out with, maybe they were not the right people. And I didn't really know how to discern that. I didn't have that discernment into choosing the right person to be with. I've never had an example and no one to teach me in that department. So I think I was rushing from one relationship into the other, thinking like maybe this is going to be the right one, or maybe this is going to be the right one. And to my disappointment, there were none the one that I wanted. Like the deep desire that was in my heart to have a certain type of family, it just didn't match. And at one point I left Romania and I ended up in the UK. I didn't have a good start in relationships here either, because the person that I was with, I think that was one of the hardest relationships I've been with. The reason why it was difficult is because I used to go out a lot, and in there you come across drugs, and you come across like alcohol, and you come across unhealthy habits, let's call them like that. And of course your day-to-day relationship will suffer. So at one point I came to the end of like me looking for anything, end of my relationship. So when I was 28, I come across meditation. So that's when I was able to bring my mind and my heart and my body together. And that's when I started to understand why my life has been the way it has been, why I also suffer so much, because my mind was in one place, my heart was in one place, and I could never really be stable. And in that time, since then, I started to go more into the spirituality and discovering that part of myself, which I felt like it really was missing. And I must say that was one of the best experiences that I could ever have, because at the end of the course, I had such a profound opening into my heart that I have never ever felt like that before. Like I felt like I was finally home, and those things that I've always searched for, those answers that I was always looked for, they were just like there. Navigating through these difficult situations, rejections, disappointment was very difficult, because getting in touch with that true self and that light part of myself, then coming back into the real world, it was very challenging, because I could not relate to the new world anymore. Like I could not see it, I could not find any reference in the world of that which I was feeling inside of myself. And then I had to face all of the fears afterwards. I was in a relationship, so I came back into a relationship that I knew I should not be in, and I didn't know how to listen to that part of myself that was telling me go a different way, and I didn't trust it. I didn't have a reference of what shall I do, so I compromised just to make the relationship work. I was so scared to be by myself, because all the time I've been with someone. Although I knew I can do it, I didn't trust it. So a year before the relationship finished, I was in the same meditation place, and I did inquire within my heart, and I said it very openly, look, I don't have courage to do this. whoever you are, because I know you're there, I felt you in my heart, can you help? And I think that was the first time when I had this whisper saying to me, in 1 year's time, your relationship will finish. I just knew, something inside of me knew that if I say it and it's honesty from my heart, then that will come back somehow. Well, when I first touched the light within myself, I felt the life in it because I felt the tangibility into it. So I have had moments where unexpected things were happening after that. And I was like, there's surely something out there. I've never really believed in God, like God. But I've always knew there's a source of something. But I didn't know the source and what he's doing or how he's responding or how he's communicating back to us. However, since that moment when my heart opened, I've also understood that when you speak your truth, the truth will come back with an answer. And more or less, that was the presence that I could feel it through the truth of my heart. And I don't know, I just felt there's something out there that responds to that. So when the answer came back, I felt it in every cell of my body. In 1 year's time, this relationship will finish. And I left it. I didn't inquire about it. I didn't look for it. My whole body trusted it, you know? And that was very unusual because I knew that that's going to be my ticket out, let's call it like that. And that's when I'm going to be able to finish these relationships that have not been the way I wanted, that have struggled in the same way like my family has, that I was finding the same arguments, that I was finding the same misunderstanding. And I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Please, help me. My first contact with Satria has been through yoga. I have had an amazing experience because in those moments or in those classes I was able to really reconnect with my body. So for me that was a big breakthrough into my body. Then shortly after I have joined the esoteric classes and that was mind-blowing. All the courses were confirming so much of the things that I used to experience and I didn't have the reference from. I remember my first retreat was a 40-day retreat in Bath. It was nothing like I've ever experienced. I had no expectations because I didn't know what it was. That for me was one of the most profound experiences that I could ever have. I was blessed and fortunate to be freed from a condition that I think I had it from birth, but I can say like at least 30 years of my life, a freedom that I've never been able to experience before. After that, there was some short retreats that were happening and there were some different classes like the martial arts that I've joined as a practitioner. So it was beautiful to open up the door to so many possibilities into one's life. And I've enjoyed the martial arts too. I've never done it before, but I was learning it quite quickly because you're having fun and in there you can just understand it. They were all starting to go from like 40-day retreats into short retreats like 3 days and opportunity to come and work alongside them and give my service in whatever was required. For each and every time there was a group of students or there was a long retreat or there used to be a class or anything that I was able to support with. In the past, let's say 3 years, I think, is since I know you guys and I've joined this, I have experienced the biggest growth in my life, in my spiritual life, in my human life, in both of these places, because you can't separate them. It's the biggest growth that I felt and the most happiest I've ever felt and the most myself that I could be in everything, which is something that I really love, the fact that I can be myself in this one. You don't have to try to be anything, you don't have to pretend to be anything, you can just be yourself. And for me, that was one of the most important things, because you can come as you are. I am approaching 40 now, and my life now has turned out to be for everything that I've ever wanted. I have great friends, I have beautiful work, I'm free from so much suffering that I used to have in my life. And the most beautiful thing is, guess what? My mum, who was the reason why I left Romania, she is now free from alcohol, so she's not been drinking anymore. It's been 3 years. We have become the best friends that we could ever been before. Like, she's the mother that I've always wanted to have, and now we have this beautiful relationship. She's now sitting, she's doing samadhi, she's praying, and she's done her first yoga postures the other day. And the most beautiful thing is that she's going to join us for the 40-day retreat that we're going to have in a few months' time. And this, for me, is one of the biggest miracles that has happened in my life. It feels like it's a full circle. The reason why I left and I'm here is all completed.